I went to my nanny Violet and I told her that I am going to become a guide at Spirit Bear Lodge. And she thought it was the greatest thing. And she told me to really ask questions and to really remember of who I am and where I come from.
We've had community members that have grown up in Kitasoo who've never seen a spirit bear, who've never got to step foot into places such as this. You know, just 2 years ago is my first time going into one of our sacred sites. And it was so powerful, stepping foot in there and, you know, walking in those trails that my ancestors once did. And knowing, like, and hearing the stories of my grandma that, you know, she was raised there and she lived amongst the bears where she'd play with the doll on her porch while the bears were like walking by. It was just, I don't know, but to actually step foot into that place and know that some of our community members were born there was powerful. And that was a moment where I knew we must do our best to fill those areas with our people and connect our people back to those places, you know, where their grandmothers and grandfathers were raised or where they've heard stories about.
It feels pretty cool to be in these places because our ancestors were there for a reason, and that's why we're here now. We're so lucky to live around these areas because a lot of it, luckily, is still untouched, and so we're still discovering a lot of different artifacts and cultural features to this day. Like, I've worked with the stewardship doing cultural feature inventories, and we'd go out to certain areas and survey the area to look for CMTs, which are culturally modified trees, or monumental cedars, which are the cedars that are over 100 centimeters in diameter. We're still really lucky to find a lot of different artifacts and stuff, and we can see the history and our ancestors' mark on the land when we can look at like the pictographs that they've done or like the petroglyphs, like the rock carvings that they've done. And so it's cool to go to those places and just be there because it's like a place that our ancestors have been before.
I love this stuff because it's something that's, you know, been here forever and it's going to be here for a long time, you know?
And then who knows how many more are here that we just
can't quite see.
And it's just like, you just stand here and you just think about the time that it took.
Somebody to do that.
Yeah, to sit here and just carve on these rocks all day. It just shows that we were here and we're still here yet. And just to think about the time it took, how long it took them, who did it? Was it a young person? Was it an old person? Was it... Yeah, so those are the kind of things I usually think about too.
Well, you go back and you look at, you know, how many people that are employed, you know, that the lodge hires. A lot of our local people that are guides. Some of them work in the kitchen, servers, you know, stuff like that. You know, it's nice to have, to be able to see your own people do something where, you know, you go to the city and you see other people doing things, but us to have something like that in our own community is very special.
When we're bringing guests out here, we're basically, in a way, getting them to slow down. You stop and take a moment
and just soak it all in. Because look at it, there's like a whole bunch of cedar as we're walking through. Spruce trees, a lot of moss. We really encourage our guests to really just put down your phones and just even just sit in silence too around here.